Hello everybody. Today we have a very special treat. We are going to be making a sexy, smooth, clean R&B beat for the legendary, the amazing, the toxic queen herself, SZA. So we're gonna get rolling on this right now. And before we get started, I just wanted to ask you guys really quick if you can hit that subscribe button, that notification bar, and also give me a comment and a like. It would really help. We're almost to 100 subscribers, dude. And I'm pretty excited. So hope you guys are liking these videos. This should be good. I'm really excited to kind of get into this. Yeah, man. Let's just dive in. Catch you on the other side. Okay, dogs, so we're going to dive into this really quick. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to mess with the intro. So I used the song Special as a reference here. And guys, we always want to use reference tracks. It can help us with sound selection, help us with mixing, help us with arrangement. So that's kind of what I tried to do here. I did my own thing, of course, but we used that for a little bit of, you know, guidance. So first thing that I noticed on the track is it starts off with a strumming guitar. So first I noticed that it starts off with a strumming guitar. We have it right there. The chords are pretty simple. The chords are going to be a C, A minor, G, F, F minor, B flat 7, back to C. So if you guys know anything about harmony or anything like that, in R&B a really commonly used chord progression is going to be a 2-5-1, and that would be something like, if we're in the key of C, like D minor to G to C, right? What that does is it creates tension through the 2 and the 5, and then we resolve on the tonic chord. So we can make a video about that a little bit later. But what we're using here is a device called the backdoor 2-5-1, and what we're doing is making a 2-5-1 where the 5 chord is actually a whole step below the 1 chord. So we have the F minor, which would be the 2, the B flat 7, which is the 5, and that B flat 7 is a whole step below C major. And that's how we get that cool little R&B vibey sound there. We're basically using borrowed chords, essentially. So we can talk about that a little bit later, but let's dive back into this guitar here. So what I want to do is I want to give it a little bit more of a vibe. I want to make it sound more lo-fi. And first what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on a Archetype by Corey Wong plugin, and I'm using a little bit of compression. We're using this amplifier here with some messing with the parameters here, and then we've got some reverb on there, and that's pretty much it. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to be adding a virtual mix rack by Slate, and I'm just using a preset, the guitar's preset in the vibe strip. I cannot talk well about Slate enough, right? I can't say enough good things about Slate. I love the Slate plugins. So here's what we're sounding like now. It just gives a little bit more beef, right? Next up is the RC20. If you guys want to check out the preset I have on here, I just messed with the vinyl 1 a little bit. After that, we're going to use the Pro Q to take out a little bit more low end. Now, it's pretty extreme, I know, but I really wanted to kind of sit in the back. I want enough space for the vocals when it gets a vocal on it. So it does exactly what I wanted to. And finally, we're going to add a doubler to it. The Waves doubler, because I kind of hear a doubler in that track. So, and then we're going to move it a little bit to the left. So here's with, without, and with. It's a pretty big difference, right? So next up, what we want to do in the intro, there's a piano lead also that comes in. So what I did was I decided to use the OVO by 40 very own keys, right? And I'm using 40's lo-fi piano. I'm not messing with the preset at all. I'm just keeping the exact same preset that we have right here. And here's what this is going to sound like. I got some EQ on it. We're taking out some low end. There's not a lot, but I just wanted to clean up a little bit. I'm using the Classic Strip 2 from the Slate Virtual Mix Rack, and I'm using the piano preset. And then what I'm doing is I'm also, here's the sauce, I'm panning it using the Cable Guy's Shaper box. And I've got the mix about 32% there. So I don't want to completely pan, but we're getting a little bit of movement there. And I like that. So that's what we got in our verse. Now we can go over here into or that's what we got for our intro. Now we can kind of dive into our verse a little bit, or I guess this would be considered our hook. So we're going to kind of look at this, and I think we're going to go to the drums first right here. So if we look at this guy, we're going to start with our hi-hats. And all I'm doing here, if you guys notice, is just a simple two-step hi-step. Simple two-step hi-hat pattern, and I'm doing a little bit of velocity. You can see down right here. There's one that's louder, and there's one that's quieter. It's going to sound like this. We have the Valhalla Ubermod on there to just give it a little bit more flavor, right? Just a little bit more texture. A little bit of EQ on there too. I also wanted something to set the groove, right? So what am I going to base all this groove off of? Well, I found this loop on Splice, and it sounds pretty cool, and I added it in here. So really, what I'm using on here to get that lo-fi sound is the Cymatics Origin. I love this plugin. It gives it so much texture, and I'm using a little bit more EQ too. So here is without these plugins. And here's with. Again, that's crazy, right? It's really gives it that lo-fi flavor. I'm trying to keep that throughout the whole thing. Next, all we're doing, snare, super simple. Snare on 2 and 4. Then, what I did next was I actually added the bass next. And what I did for the bass was I just kind of played off of the root notes of the chords, right? So nothing super crazy. I did one little run at the end, but here's what it sounds like with the bass. So yeah, so I'm using a little bit of, on that minor chord, on that F minor, I'm using a little bit of an F minor arpeggio. Again, nothing crazy, and I'm using some octaves too to get a little bit more movement in there. And then for the kick is now pretty easy because all I did was I just used the same pattern as the bass, and we get this. Right? So, and that's always kind of my go-to. If it's kind of tough for me to pick a kick pattern, I want to do the bass first. I'm just going to follow the bass. You know, pretty crazy stuff there. I added a little bit of rain, granular rain, that I found from Splice. And you can barely hear it. It's more just a trying to feel it thing. So that's our drums right now. And that's pretty cool. So again, pretty simple drums, right? One thing that kind of comes from this that really gives the sauce, if we look over here, right? Here is our millisecond buttons. And what I'm doing is I'm moving them forward and backwards to really accentuate the groove of what I have. So if we look at the hi-hats are ahead 31 milliseconds, my loop is ahead 19 milliseconds, my snare's ahead 8, and my kick is just right on. Right there with the bass. We don't mess with the kick. And that's what gives it the bounce. That's what gives it the groove. Some people like to move the stuff off the grid themselves. A lot of times I will do this. It gives me a little bit more control. So everything's pretty much directly on the grid, and we just move it to get the groove that we want. So now that we have all of that cool stuff, next up what I did was I wanted to add a pad. I wanted a little bit more texture, and this is super quiet in the back, right? And I'm using the 40's very own keys again. I'm using the Lake pad. This is one of my favorite pads on this plugin. I love it so much, and we get this. Again, you can barely hear it, and all I'm doing is I'm just outlining the chords. I'm just doing triads. I'm not even doing 7th chords. I'm just doing triads here, a little bit of velocity to make it sound cool. And then we wanted to add another guitar in there. This is panned a little bit to the left, so one thing I'll do is I'll have to hang 2 guitars, one pan to the left, one pan to the right. I don't like to double track my guitars a whole lot. It's a very specific sound, and sometimes I don't do that. But what I will do is I will take that and I will do a different part in this. I'm doing some higher arpeggios, and we get this sound. Again, super tucked in the back, almost the same plugins I have on the other guitar here. So nothing super crazy there. And then the next thing that we do is we go to the second verse. And whenever I'm doing a second verse, one thing I like to do is change up the instrumentation. I will use the same chords. I won't do anything super crazy with that, but I will change the instrumentation. This gives the singer just a different space to sing in. Maybe it triggers a different vibe, a different emotion. They can deliver the song a little bit differently. So what I did here was I took this piano here and surprise, surprise, OVO 40, and I'm using the Play a Painful Melody preset. So this is more of a plucky sound, but if we look at this, again, I'm just doing the chords a little bit different than the pad. We don't want to completely copy, but we got this, and it's gonna sound like this. It's a pretty cool sound. We got some delay on there too. And then lastly, I took the output arcade, and I'm using the No Goodbyes pack on Hooked. A little bit of messing with this stuff, add some filter space and some hype pump, dude, and we get the sound. And again, I have a lot of plugins on here, a lot of processing. Here's without all the processing. And here's with. So notice a theme here, right? That R&B sound, that vibey stuff. That's what we want, just to make it sound super vibey. And then we just slowly add stuff back in. We got the hi-hats and the bass, we cut things out, and we just kind of structure everything and layer sounds in and out. The choruses are always super, super big. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's how I made this beat. So we just take a few elements, right? The beats don't have to be complicated. We want to have space for the singer, and we just use a few elements. How many tracks do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and drums 8, 9. We have 9 instruments, right? I'm counting the drums all as one, but 9 instruments. Oh, we also added a snap in there in the verse. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's our SZA type beat. Again, I used the song Special to give me some inspiration here. And I think that's all we got. Let's go ahead and listen to the beat, guys.